founders established this republic 250 years ago, they envisioned a society of merit in which the only aristocracy was that of talent, and in which the first ranks of society and governance would be occupied by those who earned it. I can't think of any better example of the success of their vision than this: the fact that a girl from a single-parent household in small town, Texas town, through hard work and vision, rose to become a confidant, a friend, and a cabinet secretary to the President of the United States. America works. And now it's my pleasure to give you the living proof of America at work, Brooke Rollins.
I mean, it's good to be home. Y'all know I get a little emotional every now and then, especially when I am here in Texas and here with my people. My people, you are my people. My mom is here as a state representative. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. We had a governor who refused to say no and went all in on doing what was right. Governor Abbott, thank you. Thank you. Well, Governor Abbott is extremely gracious because I have jumped in front of his keynote, and I don't want to take any of your time, Governor, but man, I had this little window of time in the week. I was confirmed on Thursday, which seems like 2 years ago. Y'all, it was the coolest thing. I had my whole family there. It was very last minute. We ended up in the gallery of the Senate. Most cabinet appointees don't ask to go sit and watch their vote. But, you know, I said, what the heck? We've got all these great Texans, my whole family coming very last minute, because it happened very last minute. The vote was set. And we got to sit up in the cabinet, and it wasn't lost on me the history that the presidents and the senators and the elected officials who have walked those halls, who have confirmed past cabinet secretaries, who have fought for America, that it was remarkable. And to be able to do that with my family. I was then sworn in a couple hours later by the great Clarence Thomas at the U.S. Supreme Court. And then I immediately went to the USDA and got rid of all the DEI programs, finished all the gender ideology. Said, we're going to right this ship. Those 978 DEI programs, gone. What a joy to be here. But really, this is where it all started. I was walking in and Greg said, I don't know that many of you have been here for all 23 policy summits. And I said, you know, I think Greg Abbott and I have been here for all 23 policy summits. The Liningers, the others. Well, again, what a joy to be here. And I wanted to make every effort. So we were sworn in on Thursday. I went and got rid of lots of bad stuff Thursday night. We headed to Kentucky on Friday. It was really important to me that we get out of Washington in those first 24 hours and we say, America is back. And we are in Washington to support you, the people, that I am, as your 33rd Secretary of Agriculture, will never forget and will in fact put first always our farmers and our ranchers, but everyday Americans that have been lost, not just in the last 4 years, although the last 4 years have been a bit of a disaster. Would y'all agree? My goodness gracious. But really over the course of history, we had that small pause during President Trump the first time, but to be in Kentucky with great American farmers and ranchers on Friday and Saturday. We then went to Kansas on Monday. Yesterday we were in Missouri. I'm kind of popping in and out of Washington, getting rid of more bad stuff in between the different state visits. But to be here with all of you is just so full circle for me, and I'm so grateful. And Governor Abbott, when I left 7 years ago, and walked away from the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Well, I mean, not really. I never really go away, do I, Greg? But officially walked away to join the last White House. I knew that we had basically one more shot to save this country. And I knew that Texas was in such great hands, first with my people at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, for whom I had served for 15 years before I walked away to go to the White House, but also because of this governor who has been bold and fearless and courageous. And I am forever, forever grateful that we keep putting Texas and making Texas the model for not only America, but for the world. And Governor Abbott, you have done a remarkable job in that. And I mean that so sincerely. Thank you. Well, I look out across all of you here and you who have come, most of you from Texas, many of you, though, from America to see how we do it here in Texas, and even a few of you from across some great oceans all across the world. And I see the success of a vision that was incepted long ago. But I see something even more important than that, because what's happening here now is ultimately not about the Texas Public Policy Foundation, and not even about our great governor and our great lieutenant governor and others, our elected officials. But to paraphrase Churchill, we, TBPF, Governor Abbott, all of us together are giving the roar. But as Churchill said, it is the lion's spirit, the lion's heart, the spirit of freedom that is in the people. And that's you. That's every one of you here. That's each of you who burns for freedom, who loves our history and our heritage, who knows it must be defended at all costs, and who, most importantly, does something about it. I don't mean attending conferences, lots of conferences and conferences, but I mean doing it for the right reason, as a pathway to fellowship that then inexorably leads to action. You understand it, and it's why you're here. I know that because otherwise y'all have a lot of other good things to be doing. If you have worked in the trenches for years upon years, like some of us in this room, or if you are a newcomer to the cause of liberty, which I know a lot of you are today, especially our younger crew, you are equally welcome, and you are equally my brother and my sister in the cause of reclaiming our country. I bring you a message today directly from our new president, Donald J. Trump, who has seen your labors and seen your hope and knows you expect both in this new day in America to be vindicated in full. I will tell you this, help is here. You have won, and America is back. And you know, it doesn't mean that there isn't a tremendous amount of work to do, because there is. There is a lot of it. A huge, huge amount to be able to sweep away years and generations of the left's ceaseless efforts to undermine our republic and end our way of life. The bad news is that they achieved much, and the task before us is immense. The good news is our president is with us, our hearts are strong, and we are Americans. Let me be more specific. For this room and this audience only, don't tell anyone, but what I'm about to say I think is kind of amazing. We here in Texas are the most American Americans. Because we are Texans, and we never let a little thing like overwhelming odds or an improbable cause get in our way. After all, think back to the year of our independence. Think back to 1836. Remember how many battles the Texans won that year. None of them except one. Texas lost every battle except that last one, and then that won it all. Our president is, of course, a native New Yorker, and you'd think that would be about as un-Texan as it gets. No offense to my friends from New York. But let me tell you, from now nearly a decade of working with him, that he has the biggest Texan heart. This is a man who knows what it's like to be counted out, to face impossible odds, including 1,000 years in prison, to have every obstacle thrown in his way and prevail. And not just politically prevail, the sort of man who takes a bullet and immediately stands and yells, "Fight, fight, fight." It's incredible, incredible. President Trump possesses a physical but also a moral courage that our founders would have recognized as the prerequisites for leadership. He brings all that to his governance now, and when he leaves office in January 2029, he will have left it all on the field. And I sincerely believe he will be counted among America's greatest presidents. Who agrees with me on that? Yeah. I think we need to look no further at that than the pace of action and activity he has already demanded and for which he has set the example. Today, February 19th, is exactly 30 days since President Trump took office. Can you believe it? It feels like about 10 years ago. 30 days. But here's the amazing part, that if this 30 days were all that there was of the second Trump presidency, it would be by itself the most consequential presidency in generations. And I believe that. For the rest of our lives, President Trump's example of energy and alacrity in office will be the standard by which all future presidents will be judged. Interestingly, Alexander Hamilton in Federalist, I believe number 70, wrote, and this is not common, but finding this was pretty remarkable. Alexander Hamilton wrote Federalist number 70 that energy in the executive is a leading character in the definition of good government. And my friends, energy in the executive is precisely what Donald Trump has and exhibits. This, I think, is key to understanding him and his place in American history. He is not a departure from the American tradition. His critics who charge him with that understand neither our country nor our purpose. He is a fulfillment of that tradition and a restoration of it. It is no accident in that light that the coalition he now brings together in this decade is a reassembly of the original Republican coalition of the 1850s. Working men from all ethnicities and backgrounds dedicated to the principles of free soil and free labor, and endorsing a suite of policies that in the 1850s included national greatness, territorial expansion. That one's pretty great, isn't it? The Gulf of America, the 51st state. I mean, can't make it up. A robust tariff regime, a strong military, and American supremacy. And of course, a definitive focus, and I'm gonna kind of wrap here with this since it's my new role, 6 days in, a definitive focus upon agriculture as the foundational enterprise and constitutive pursuit of our republic. What a blessing. That program, my friends, is Trumpian, but it is not just that. It is Lincolnian, it is Jacksonian, it is Jeffersonian, and maybe even most of all, it is Hamiltonian. But here's the point. The presidency of Donald J. Trump is as American as it gets. In fact, it was precisely that original American Republican coalition of the 1850s, when in power in the 1860s, established the United States Department of Agriculture, which it is now my privilege to helm. Our founders understood that ag and its way of life is essential to the sustenance of our democratic values and civics. They knew that the American that works the land, that survives on his own labor, that is inviolate in his home and his work, that is independent in his daily life, and that must govern himself in the best vision of our American founders. My friends, we have a lot of work to do to take this country back. We are 30 days in with a lifetime and lifetimes to go, with leaders like President Trump and Governor Greg Abbott, with organizations like the Texas Public Policy Foundation, with people like you who are unwilling to ever take no for an answer, even in the most improbable causes, which is saving the country, that we will win. God bless you all. God bless America. Thank you so much. What a joy to be home. Thank you all. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you. Awesome. How about Brooke Rollins? You know, when she called me on, I think it was November 23rd, from a parking lot in Mississippi to tell me that she had just been, the president was about to appoint her as Secretary of Agriculture on the way to an Aggie game. We won't mention about what happened at the game, but I was like, well, of course you're going to be Secretary of Agriculture. And, you know, I don't know that the USDA knows what has hit them. I don't know that your security detail knows what has hit them yet. They're only a week in. But y'all, I had really beautiful hair before I met Brooke Rollins, so just be careful. But thank you, Brooke. Thank you.